Hello and welcome to an Everquest guide for a level 115 Druid. This is how I play my Druid. This might not be the best way. This might be just how I do it, you know. There could be other ways to do it, and you know, I'm happy to hear about any of the other ways, but this is how I do it. I do it mostly in a boxed multi-bind situation, so the way I do things is very specific to that. So you might be able to learn something if you play a main Druid. If you play a box Druid, this might help out also. All right, so let's go into it. I am a fresh 115. My AAs are low. So let's go into spells first. So first one up, I have Virididia. This is just an 18,000 heal. Then I have Luna Lescience. This is a 16,000 group heal. This spell is our synergy spell. So if we go over here to focus, Preserver Synergy, every time we cast this line of spells, I don't think, like, I don't even have the current level one, right? So this one doesn't even cast it, I don't believe anymore, right? I thought I saw it pop up when I was doing a burn. Yeah, it's not popping up right now. So you have to actually cast. So let's go down here real quick. I'd switch spells out. I didn't even realize. But that's like the next on my list of AA. This first AA that I would buy at 115 is the Synergy. So if we do this right, we cast it, solve. There we go. Preserver Synergy. So the next 3 heals that hit a target. So everybody in the group gets this. They get an extra 4,700. 4,700 hit points. So on that heal, pretty nice. I do it on cooldown. Now, when we get to the multi-bind, we'll kind of see how that goes. So next up, I have Remote Sunshock. That's the name. So this will hit the target's target. So using training dummies doesn't really show this DPS really, or how it works. But in the typical situation, I assist my tank and I target the the combat dummy over there, right? This will nuke it for 1,500 and then heal whoever he's hitting for 1,500 also. So this is a very nice spell in that regard. And I play my Druid in a balanced kind of way, a balance between healing and damage, and I think that really works out pretty well for the group. Next up, I have Nature's Fevered Wrath, which is a fantastic dot, absolutely fantastic dot. And why is it fantastic, right? Let's just go ahead and cast it, right? So we cast it. One, it has an 18-second reuse, so it works perfect in a multi-bind situation. And it does 30,000 damage initially, right? So it's a 30,000 nuke. If we look here, right? It crit for, look at these crits. So it crit for 122,000 on a hit, and then the dot tick itself, which is another 30,000 every 6 seconds for 18 seconds, 774,000, and then 710,000, and then a normal 118,000. Insane extra DPS. Now the mana, the mana is a little bit, up there, right? And that's the thing with Druids, right? All their damaging spells are mana hogs. They suck the living mana out of you as much as they possibly can. So it just depends on your group synergies and how all that's set up, how much you want to cast that. Then I have Vine Spike Rush, right? So Vine Spike Rush will cast a heal, 25,000 heal on the target, and then do 11,000 damage shield for a short amount of time with a 10% chance to do 20,000. So what does that actually mean? So when I cast that, right, I have a macro It does Wrath of the Wild, which is another one, right? So this gives an 80,000 damage shield. Plus the, let's say 10,000, that's 90,000 in damage shield that I just put on my tank. Now, by default, I think he has like 10,000. What's the last one he got hit for? 11,000 by default on yeah. That's 11 to 10,000, right? So that we have a 100,000 point damage shield for the, what is this, 8 hits. That's, you know, an extra, you know, almost 1 million damage really quick. Just from doing damage shield on the tank. So I keep that up at all times. Next up I have Horde of the Hyperboreads. This is a dot. And it does 14,000 damage a tick, right? Let's cast it real quick here. You can kind of see here. So many crits, right? It crit for 454,000, 404,000. Unlucky critical twin cast. Like it's just lots of extra damage. It's in my multi-bind. Drains my mana to, you know, almost nothing, but it's worth it in most situations. Enamic way. I can't say the word, but it's a heal. So this infuses your party with a mysterious healing power, allowing their melee strikes a chance to cast Mending Enigma for in the last 36 seconds or until 48 hits are hit. So what does this mending do? Heals your target's target for 6,000. Inspires 1 hatred. So, how does that work? Right? I cast this on the group. Everybody in the group gets this buff right here. It's a 1 minute duration, 48 charges. If we look over at the mage, I call it the mage specifically because the mage pet gets it. The mage pet gets the buff. So, every hit is a chance to trigger this heal. So I don't know what the percentage is, but it gives you 48 charges, right? So it is pretty nice. And I believe everybody gets 48 charges to do this for 1 minute. So, and it heals the target of the target. So it'll heal the tank for 6,000. Very nice spell. If you have a melee heavy group, it would obviously do it more. Pet heavy group is even, you know, just as good. Considering like if I timed it right as the mage did his swarm pets and stuff like that, like that's an insane amount of healing that can be going out at the same time. Then I have Chithrid Assault. This is the swarm pets for druids. Now, typically, I probably would not cast this. It's not a whole lot of damage, right? If we look over at here, right? That's not even my damage. Where does the damage show up at? I don't even know where the damage goes for this one. I think it's here. So every tick, it looks like it does 18,000 damage. So it's not a whole lot. It's not a big dot. But it's a pet, and that pet benefits my mage. So through his ability, Shock of the Many. So more pets active, the more he does. So there's a synergy there that might not be a part of your group, but it's, I mean, how much mana is this? 1,800 mana. That's nothing compared to all the other spells that we're casting. So and you can typically, I can get like 1 or 2 of these out, right? So, well, that one already went away, but there's that one. So it'll last for just about enough time. I think I've gotten 2 of them out at once. The way I multi-spam, so it works. Ice Rend Aura. So this is our level 115 aura, or it's the level 113, but it's in aura. So this adds, how much damage? It says it adds 5,100 damage to every spell, but I feel like it's way more than that. It's just free damage. Everybody gets it. Group applies to the group, so the mage is doing more damage. The pet procs are doing more damage. The paladin stuns that do a little bit of damage do more damage. Everything gets affected by this. So I do that fairly often. And then I have composite winds and typhonic roar, right? Now, I don't know if casting both of these is necessary. Currently, I do. Composite is a phenomenal spell because it does 61,000 damage and heals your target's target for 28,000. So this kind of goes into the balanced approach, right? I am balanced because I am healing through remote sunshock, and I'm healing through the group heal, and I'm healing through an ignatic ways. Jeez, I can't say that. And I'm healing through composite. So, you know, there's healing that I'm doing that is in effect passive healing on the tank. And it all adds up to being success. A lot of success out of this. It's a bit of a mana hog at 3,900 to 8,000 mana, but definitely worth it. Then the roar is just a 25,000 nuke. I think you're better get rid of this. Every research I showed people using bloody roar, which is the upgrade at 120. People doing that. I'm not 100% sold on casting both at the moment, but it fits really well into the rotation I have up, so it works good. And then here at the end, I have put that right back. I have wild shot. I left a twin cast, right? I need to get twin cast rank 3. That I have to solo a raid for that, I guess. This is a level 85 spell that you never get rid of. Allows you to twin cast your spells. I use it on cooldown just for the extra damage. And then my last spell is Winter's Wild Shock, which is a very interesting spell because it does 8,700 cold, 9,300 fire, and it generates more hatred, but I have a paladin, so hatred means nothing. There's nothing that can pull off the paladin that I've encountered in this group setup. But this is my spells, and kind of I'll go my multi-bind here in a minute, how I just use everything on cooldown pretty much. My first hotkey button, well, actually before I do that, let me talk about how I have my extended target set up real quick. I have the group, and then I have the first non-target mob, and then I go all the way to 19, so 7 through 19 or 18 are non-primary target mobs. X target 18 is whatever my tank targets, right? I target that. He's targeting a pet. Target the target dummy. There you go. He's targeting the target dummy, so that is my primary attack target for the druid, right? And then I have whatever is the tank at the last slot. And I don't use X target 1 for that because these might not be the same, right? And the assist can vary too, right? In certain missions, I'm not going to have my paladin as the assist. Someone else will be the assist. So it's just a matter of that. All right, so that's just a little quick summary of how that. So when I show like X target 19, that means I'm assist. That's the assist target, right? So my hide corpse macro here, it forages, it auto inventories, and it does cheetah. Cheetah is the druid. I don't even see it. Comedian cheetah. Just the druid's run speed buff, right? 2-minute buff gives me, I think 115% extra movement speed. It's great for pulling. All right. My assist macro here, this is a multi-bind, so I multi-bind the 5 key to these 2 hotbars down here. So first thing I do is I get a target, right? I need a target to a nuke. I do a pet attack and a pet swarm. Now, a druid is not a pet class, but as we do our abilities, we summon pets, like the little mushroom guy you saw before, right? He's a swarm pet, so pet swarm will send him. So if I'm fighting this guy, I pet swarm him and he dies and I got 15 seconds left on that other pet, I can send him over to this one just by doing pet swarm, right? I don't do Q. I want instantaneous changes. I don't want them to stay on a target at all. There's certain missions where you have to switch targets, and I don't want anything on the other target if I can help it, right? And a dot is fine. A dot will wear off, and you know, it's not gonna worry. But I want the pets to move between. I don't want them staying on mobs. Then I use a mod rod. I have a mage in my group, so I always have a mod rod available to me. So I use that on cooldown. And then I go into my multibind. So we already went through spells, so I'm going to kind of go over this. So I do remote sun shock, twin cast, because you cannot twin cast remote sun shock as far as I know. You might be able to, so that might be worth changing those positions, but you can't twin cast assault either. But then I have Nature's Favored Wrath, Typhonic Roar, Composite Winds. I feel like maybe I might want to swap those, and then I have Horde, and then I have Luna Salve, and then I have Destruction Vortex, which is a it just makes the dots do more damage. I use it on cooldown. It's a 13-minute reuse. You might be a burn thing, but I don't care that much at this point. I have tracking on my multibind, just so it always has tracking up. Like, I can look over her screen and I see that. I do Spirit of Wood, which is a group heal. It's just a massive amount of healing every 9 minutes. It's, you know, this would be something I'd probably want to save for like a boss or, you know, a named or something like that. But in the situation where I'm playing, right? If I'm going into a mission, these are all going to be available on the first attack. So it saves me time from having to do a separate button for that. If I'm just doing experience, like it's not really that important, right? If I'm just fighting experienced mobs, doesn't really matter. So using it on cooldown isn't going to hurt anything. Then I have Distant Conflagration, allows you to twin cast your remote mana flux spells. So it'll be there. It lasts for long enough to get off 12 spells. So I do that, and then I'm on the next cycle of the multibind. So the next time I hit the key, you know, that'll get twin casted, right? Then I have Nature's Guarding. This summons a pet, a level 112 bear. My ability is clearly not leveled up because I'm a fresh 115. That's just a pet. Now, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. We'll see here in a minute. But it's another pet for the mage to get more damage out of there. Then I use Great Wolf and I use Group Great Wolf, right? I use these on cooldown. Like, it doesn't matter which one gets applied, right? I guess I could just put them however I want it. It doesn't really matter. They're both 7-minute cooldowns, but I use them on cooldown just to get as much damage out of that as I possibly can. I could probably move the group one to the burn and kind of save that, and then use the normal one on cooldown. But right now this is fine. Gives everybody a nice little damage. And then Spirit of Nature is another pet. It's, you know, 110. It's just another pet to be aggroed on the mob for the mage to do a little bit extra damage. And then here at the end, if somehow all these other things are on cooldown, we'll do Winter's Wild Shock, which is very rare. So that's my multi-bind. My burn is targets X19, and then what? I don't know. I have these AA abilities that I have no idea what they are. 185. I'll have to look it up. I know someone probably told me what it was, but I can't remember at this point. I have to like go can activate. It was probably one of the very first ones we got, right? I don't know. There's a bunch of AAs here, so it's just like it is what it is. Silent Casting, Focus Arcanium, and Distant Conflag. So just getting those spells out. The next one here kind of does more damage, right? All the damage is right here. So Nature's Fury increases the base mana of your direct damage spells by 36%, increasing the mana cost. That's terrible. The mana cost increase is terrible, but more damage. Improved Twin Cast. So Twin Cast does not stack with Improved Twin Cast. So typically my Twin Cast is already on cooldown by the time I hit burn anyway, so it's fine. Just more Twin Casting there. And then Spire of Nature. Spire of Nature right here. Increases our mana regen, our healing, and critical chance by 24%. So all around just more damage. And then I use the breastplate, which this is this one's updated. This is the snowbound one. So this will is the click. Nature's Will offers you a choice to follow the path of destruction or regrowth, which will increase the damage of your next 19 direct damage spells or your healing spells, depending on what you cast first. So whatever I cast first, it will give me one of those benefits, right? So in a balanced situation, doesn't really matter. I'm healing and I'm doing damage. I don't really consider the Druid to be pure DPS because there's so many heals, and to get the synergy you have to heal, right? So it's kind of, and the direct damage is not really the primary means of Druid DPS, so the dots are better. So it's, it is what it is. Whatever it ends up to be, it doesn't really matter to me. And then that's burn 2. Burn 3, just intensity resolute, which is another like 100% damage increase or something like that. Veil of the Underbush is a evade, just gets everybody out of combat, gets the Druid out of combat. Good to save the life, but it happens. X target 19. This is my debuff button. Pause 219. So I believe this is. I think I know what these ones are. Go back. Blessing a Row. Where is it at here? It's Season's Wrath. No. What the hell is 219? Oh, 219 Snare. Entrap. Yeah, here we go. So I snare the target. It doesn't really matter at the higher levels now. It seems a lot of things are immune to snare. Then I do Blessing of Row and Season of Wrath. So these are just resist debuffs. So if we do Blessing of Row, activates Cowl of Row, which does also heals the target. So it'll heal the tank, but it also lower fire resistance, attack, and armor class on the target. Seasons of Wrath will lower fire resist and cold resist to up to 25%. That synergy plays really good into the mage who casts fire spells, the druid who has fire dots and fire spells. So it all works out pretty well. I have a shaman that I group with also. She has a cold nuke that she does to get twin cast. So there's a synergy between them that kind of works together, right? Let's see here. That's the debuff. I have a heal spell just for healing. Like if something goes wrong and I need to heal the tank, I cast 11, which is no longer Adrenaline Rush. What is it now? Cast 5. So there it is. I used to have Adrenaline Rush at 11. I moved it out, so I haven't updated this macro. So cast 5, it'll do Vine Rush, which will be the Adrenaline Rush. Cast 2, which is group heal. Cast 1, which is the big heal, right? So this is a button intended to be spammed because these are not going to be up at the same time. So I'd hit it like 4 times to get all these activated. Short duration buffs. This is Wrath of Wild, the group heal, and the single target heal plus damage shield. And those go on the tank. Mass group buff. So if I want to mass group things, it's available. These are all the teleporting items I have and spells. Like my character is bound Yeah, I'm bound in Great Divide, I'm bound in Guild Lobby, and then I created the character in Crescent Reach. So I can origin to Crescent Reach, I can secondary gate to Guild Lobby, and my primary gate will send me to Great Divide. Great Divide's where I do AA experience, so it's kind of just saves me time. I just teleport to where I'm gonna get experience, right? So just like I used to be bound in Dead Hills at Gribble. As I did that, I would go, do my Gribbles, leave, go do something else, and I could just teleport back whenever I felt like it. All right, let's turn that off. All right, then I have single target heals, so if I hit shift numpad 1, it'll target the, whoever X target 1 is. In this case, it's my tank, X target 2, and so on and so on. Just for extra healing if it's needed. I typically don't do anything with healing anybody else. Right here I have Nature's Bolt and Nature's Frost. Now these are AA nukes. I have not leveled them up because they drain my mana so much. And I kind of swap them in and out, right? If I'm fighting stuff that dies fast, I'll swap out the dots, right? I'll take out Horde and I'll take out Wrath here, and I'll just pop those in as less mana. It still drains my mana pretty hard, but it's less mana. And then some summon agents and bankers and stuff like that. This is the multi-bind. We went through that. Experience potions and lesson of the day. Lesson of the day is 100% experience bonus. Veteran reward. You can get it at 70-ish. You can get it on live at level 1, but on TLP it's like 70-ish. All right, let's see here. I have Radiant Cure for curing things. I have Exodus for saving my life. Wild Tender's Unity is the cast all the group buff or self buffs in one spell. Mine's not updated because it's the 110 version, but gives you the coat, which gives you the self AC damage shield, and gives you the mask of the Wild Tender, which is the mana regen buff. This one only does 53. The one I actually have in my spell book is better. If we look at that one, so if you don't have that up to date, the Arbor Tender, whatever, this one's better. It's a little bit more mana regen, so you're gonna want to do that. And then pre-incarnation just gives you a second life if it fires, which is rare. But I typically evac before there's a chance for anyone to die except for my tank. Let's see here. Call of the Wild. So druids and shamans cannot res in combat, right? So this will allow you to bring somebody back to the fight, but does not res them, and then I can res them later with this rejuvenation of spirit. Nature's Boon, just more healing. I believe I thought I had it in my multibind. It's a 20-minute reuse. I don't know why I have it there. I'm gonna throw it in my multibind. Why not? YOLO. YOLO all that stuff, right? I don't even care. It works, it works. But that's pretty much all of them, right? Like market travel. Like these are all just situational things that don't really matter. Yeah. This one is Mark of the Fireflies is pretty nice to put on the tank. I used to have it in one of my macros, but I took it out because it was like causing issues with something. Another Nature's Fire, so that's another fire nuke that I can throw into the mix if I need to. It's an AA 30-second recast. Still drains mana pretty fast, but that's pretty much all my hotbars of interest, right? I do have like the dots here if I want to manually cast them and stuff like that. Like I'll switch from like this screen to that screen and whatnot to do that kind of stuff. Wall of Wind is like a knockback snare, I don't use it. I mean, if I was playing just a Druid, I probably would, but the way I play, I don't. I typically tank everything and fight it. So, all right. So gear, at 115, the best you're gonna get is Velium Threaded, which is the tier 3 COV crafted armor. You can get Velium Infused, which is the TOV tier 3 crafted armor. That is also an option. I am currently wearing Snowbound, which is the TOV tier 1 gear. This is like the first gear. And I have not upgraded my gear, mostly because it's expensive and I'm trying not to waste money. Like, I gave these characters like 1 million and she has 100,000 left after spells. And buying the 20,000 platinum ores for this gear. I believe she's almost in a full set minus boots. I have terrible luck getting boots to drop, so I went with gear for her first. I guess she's missing bracers too. I went with the Druid first, just to kind of give her a little bit more. I think I did the Gricklor mission, and she was the only one who died because she just didn't have the hit points to sustain the AoE that goes out. So I kind of gave her gear first out of everybody. I do have extra pieces, but I don't plan on continuing this character to 120. I'm gonna switch her out for a different Druid I have already. So it is what it is. Like, the gear is important. I would get the best you can get, and right now I'm using a two-hander, which does a interesting proc. This is from Great Divide off of the named Goatman. So strikes your target for 10,000 damage, giving you mana and heals the group. So it's kind of an interesting little proc. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't melee enough. I should, but I should be meleeing all these characters, but the way I do it is I park them and then I kill stuff, right? I pretty much just play the paladin and then they multi-bind assist. So works that way. AA wise, first thing I would get at 115 is the synergy. That's what I'm saving for right now. After the synergy, I would get Nature's Fiery Wrath, Horde, and the remote one. What is it called? I think there's a remote one. I can't remember. Yeah, improved remote healing. I'd get that one. Improved lunar healing. Get that one. I don't have survival of the fittest on my bar right now, but if I did, I'd get that one next. Any spell I use, I would get the AA for. Class wise, I would get Unity as soon as possible, so I don't have to cast the mask separately for the extra mana regen. I like to keep Wrath of the Wild updated. I mean, the next one is 100,000. It's insane, right? And that'll, that keeps going up. It's just extra free damage, that I can just throw on the tank. And I think the buff lasts for like 30 minutes, so you can pre-buff it, like in Guild Lobby or something like that, while you're, getting all the rest of your buffs and getting going. Group Wolf and Wolf, you want those because those are your main ADPS spells for everybody. You're going to want that. Let's see here. Anything else that's kind of tangential to your damage, right? Destructive Cascade. Sort by cost. Make this a little easier since it'll show the ones I don't have. Destructive Cascade will improve dot damage. Enhanced Ruin improves dot damage. Those are definitely next on my list. Improved Twin Cast. We're going to get that. Abundant Healing. We don't directly heal with a lot of this stuff, but our heals that we do use kind of trigger some of this stuff, so we want to make sure we have that. We want to get the sympathetic amplification, which triggers our weapon procs more often, and destructive fury, that'll affect our sun shock and the initial damage, I believe, of the wrath spell. And I don't know what affects the pet damage, but whatever that is, you want all these. Ideally, you want all the AAs you can possibly get, but I go for damage first. And then the Druid is pretty interesting. There is this Wrath of the Force Walker that increases their passive damage by 6, next rank 6,000. And it also has another one, the Gift of the Spirits right here, which increases your heals. So definitely something you want to get, right, to just max out your character. I balance the Druid between damage and healing, and I feel like that's the way you're supposed to play the Druid. I think going pure damage, you miss out on a lot of stuff, and going pure healing, I can't heal the tank. Like, I've tried it. I switched all this out with healing. So the way Druid healing works is you have to, target the tank to heal, right? And a lot of my spells require me to target the target that I want to kill, right? We get the one remote sun shock, but since nothing else does target a target, it's kind of annoying, right? So if I want to do a dot on there, I have to switch targets. And in a multi-bind, multi-boxing methodology that I use, that is, problematic, switching targets, because my first macro tells me what target I want to go after, right? So doing it balanced like this, where I'm doing damage to heal and doing group heals plus all the AA heals, really kind of balances it all out and just adds extra healing to the group and stuff like that. So for me, it works really well, but for you, it might not. And if you're playing a manual Druid, right, you can easily set up hotkeys for switching between targets and stuff like that. And I just, it doesn't work for me. So let's do a little damage here. So where's my paladin? We'll target something. And I just want to kind of show some damage real quick. So let's just go into 5. This is our, we lose on the remote damage, right? So we're going to just send everything in. We're only doing it ourselves. I forgot to do this. There we go. Let's get that going. We don't have a mod rod or anything like that. So remote sunshock just kind of breaks the whole thing, right? Because it doesn't work right. There we go. We get our pet out. Get the first dot on. And all I'm doing is pushing the 5 button. So that's all I do. Composite wins. Then we get in remote. There's horde. Roar. Nature's Wrath. So Nature's Wrath is a time, its duration is equal to the amount of time that it ticks for. So that one you can't overcast. Horde, we do overcast slightly, as you can see. It's got a few ticks before we get back to it. But you also have to keep in mind that I'm going to be switching targets, right? As a mob dies, I move to the next target. So it really doesn't affect too much. The only thing it would affect would probably be a named mob that's going to last for, probably, more rotations than I would like, right? We're burning through mana pretty quick, but at the same time, we don't have any of the other synergies going on from the other classes. So, and we have no mod rod, so that's one thing. There we go. So let's go ahead and stop that. Those pets will just do that forever. All right, let's bring in the DPS. Here we go. All right. So on that fight, we did 236,000 DPS, which is about on par. If we go up here a little bit to the previous one, I got 300, or that's not it. That one's 60,000 DPS. Where is it here? 80,000. These are what I'm just clicking during the thing, right? There we go. This is, I think I did this in the Enchanter video. Here we go with like everybody going. So she, you know, she was pretty good. She actually beat the the mage, which is surprising. I think I made a mod rod during the fight though. But you know, 267,000 there, 182,000 there. Let's see here. Let's go to like a real fight from when she was 114. Terra Carver maybe? Yeah. So 150,000, 156, 157,000. Jeez, I cannot read. This is less than the mercenary, but in this fight, it looks like everybody less than the mercenary. We switch to the crawler here. Still pretty low. The focus one, I think, was a good fight, right? So yeah, here she's getting 144,000. This was at 114 though, so it just depends on, you know, she has a slower engage time, right? So like, I don't know why she didn't engage right away. So like the first spell is remote sunshock, so you know, it is what it is. My goal with her, well, with Stasi, is it's going to be her replacement, is about 500 to a million DPS in a normal situation. I think that's probably the goal I can hit with, this is at 125, right? I think I can hit 500 to a million DPS in a normal non-burn situation. It's kind of the goal I'm going with this character, but we'll have to see. Like this, the gear is terrible, so we're losing a lot of stats from that, right? We don't have a very high spell damage. We don't have a very high clairvoyance to get mana back. We're missing like probably, you know, 40, not 40, probably 8,000 AA is probably where we're missing before we're capped. Maybe a little bit more since we have 36,000 right now. We need to get all these maxed out. We need to get all that stuff. The rotation's pretty solid. I've already tried out the 120 Druid in here and using these spells, and she performs slightly better, but not enough to notice at this point. But definitely, I like the class. I am going to be changing some stuff around in the future in the series, but definitely the extra pets add the extra damage and stuff like that. So I think those are DPS losses for the Druid, but DPS gains for the mage. I'm considering adding a second mage. So I would, instead of the mercenary I have now for the rogue one, I'd have two mages. So the extra pets from the two mages plus the Druid would pretty much max out the mage's shockwave of many. So this would be hitting for 53,000 plus every time, which is going to be pretty phenomenal, I think, going forward for that. We're going to try some things out though, but I don't see myself getting rid of the Druid at this point in time. I'm going to keep a Druid at least until 125, and we'll try out different things, but it seems like a pretty good class. It's just a matter of keeping like the aura up. I got rid of the aura actually. This is probably why I did so little DPS in that. You got to keep that up. It's short duration. I wish they were permanent and they just stayed on. Like it's kind of annoying. You have to recast it all the time, in the sense that it doesn't like it. I can't spam the button, right? If I could spam it, like once I have it up, it does this, right? I can't skip past it. It doesn't work in a multi-bind. I wish they'd fix that. Make it so I can just, you know, don't have to even think about it. But that's the Druid for 115. The 120 Druid will be Stasi. I will be switching to her probably after this. I need this account that this character's on for my shaman. And so, you know, poor planning on my part, right? So we're going to be doing that. It's the damage difference between the two is not really that much using the same spells. In my 120 Druid's gear is terrible too, so it works out, right? So I think that'll be it for this video. If there's any questions or comments, you know, if you know something about a Druid that I don't know, that I haven't mentioned, that I'm failing to do, please let me know, and I will address that in the 120 video when I make that at 120 on everybody. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.